You know what time it is? It's time to get in the game with your host, Cynthia J.
Moments later, as Randy Bethel sheds the last Bama defender, the Canes take their rightful place as the team of the 80s. Dennis Erickson has won a national title in his first year, a feat accomplished only one other time in the annals of college football. Even as the Superdome reverberates with the sights and sounds of victory, another decade looms, replete with a host of rapacious opponents taking dead aim at number one. The Canes will answer the challenge. Count on it. Miami football, simply the best.
Welcome to Get in the Game, folks. I'm your host, Tara J. And as always, thank you so much for joining us this Tuesday evening in your favorite spot for your favorite sports show. We are here live at the 904live.com studios, and I am more than excited to welcome you to the set this evening. And if you know anything about Canes football, yes, number one, what do you expect? They reigned as champions for years back in the 80s and 90s. And with me, I have two important parts of those national championships here joining me for the first time in the Get in the Game studios. To my left is Mr. Leon Searcy as he throws up to you. And to my right, he's going to throw it up to Mr. Dexter Siegler. And I'll throw it up for you as well. I'll dawn the you, and you guys who know me understand that I have a little bit of history with the University of Miami. So I bleed a little bit of green and orange in my blood, but not as much as you guys. And so thank you for being here this evening on the show.
Well, thanks for having us. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So off air, what you guys didn't see is, but if you follow me on social media, you know that I said that I had a big surprise for Mr. Searcy.
Yeah.
And that was his former teammate. So how long has it been since you guys
Forever.
met each other?
Forever. Last time I saw Dexter was probably 1991.
No.
Yeah, where you been? Man, it's been over 30 years since I seen you, Dex. Bro, tell me, it's been 30 years. I might have caught you one other time, maybe in Orlando. I think I saw you in Orlando one time.
I saw you in Orlando.
Exactly. That was
I was out of college at that point.
yeah, both of we. Yeah, you were out of college, and I was.
So
Yeah,
that's probably around 95.
exactly. 95. So do the math. 95. That's what.
25 years.
25 years.
Wow.
That don't make no sense.
But even with all the time that has passed, that doesn't change the brotherhood.
No.
No.
Not at all. And that's one thing that I want to talk about, because one thing that I appreciated when my brother was doing his visits and chose to go to University of Miami, all we heard about was the brotherhood. So what is it about the brotherhood that makes the University of Miami and playing for the Hurricanes special in like no other university, especially when you guys played? Because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys started that tradition.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, it was guys before us that kind of started it, and our responsibilities was to maintain it. If you talk to a University of Miami player now, we don't address each other by our names. We call each other family. And that's what it was. We took care of each other. The reason why we had so much success at Miami is because we were so close-knit. Mm-hmm. If guys were hungry, we fed them. If guys needed a ride, we gave them a ride. If guys needed protection, we were there to protect them. You know, so that's the reason why University of Miami back in our day and the guys before us wanted to make sure that we stayed affiliated, associated with one another, like a family. We never rolled alone. If that's why you never heard about guys getting in trouble at Miami, because we always rolled 5, 10 deep.
Yeah.
So if you had a problem with one of us, you had a problem with 10 of us.
The whole team.
You had a problem with 10 of us. That's how
Yeah.
we roll, but we call each other family. I mean, I was just a year ago, I was doing some color commentary for the Jaguars, right? Mm-hmm. I was in Baltimore because I was going to be talking, doing the game. And I'm up there in front of the camera trying to get myself ready for the TV, and someone's banging at the window right next to me. It's Ray Lewis. He's banging on the window, so I'm trying to prep for the TV show, right? And he comes in the door, and the first thing he says, "What's up, family?" That's how we address each other.
Yeah.
But like Leon said, I kind of walked into
Yeah.
learned when you got there. This is how you do things. You look out for one another. Like you say, Ray Lewis was a freshman. I would drive him to Lake Wells, meet his grandmother halfway, so he could get home.
Yeah.
But those are the kind of things we done for him.
Yeah. And when you guys look back on your careers and the guys you were able to play with, the guys that coached you, did you guys see that greatness in each other while you were there?
Well, the player that I am today, the player that I was at University of Miami, I think because of our defense. Our defense was destructive. I mean, every day in practice, we were going against the best defense in the country.
Yeah.
All right, and I used to hate it because they would beat you down.
Yeah.
They would talk about you,
Yeah.
and then talk about you some more.
Yeah.
So I had no choice but to take those whippings my sophomore year. Then my junior year, I started rolling around, and then I started laying in the whippings.
Yeah.
You know, but they molded me because the best thing about those teams back in the day, the reason why we had so much success back in the day is our toughest games were in practice.
Wow.
They were in practice.
Like you said, it's just talent.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just so much talent out there on that field.
Yeah.
You knew I got to come to work every day.
Yeah.
Or the guy behind me, he's just as good as I am. But you knew at the end of the day, there was so much competition out there on the field that you couldn't afford to go out there and half-ass.
Yeah. That's good. I like that.
That's true. That's true.
Let's keep it real on the show, right? So you guys kind of grew up in the same area. You were born in D.C., but you were raised in Orlando. You're from Avon Park. So your paths didn't necessarily cross before Miami, but your paths kind of started different. So let's get into how someone decides to play football and then makes the choice to go to a university of Miami, such stature back in those years. You started off, your career started off different. You started off as a quarterback and a safety, so we'll get to that, and then became a cornerback. So that's going to be an interesting story. And then offensive lineman. So did you always get the story like, you're a big guy, you're either going to play offense or defense? Did you ever have a choice of any other position you were going to play?
No. All right, even in the schoolyard, when you played schoolyard football, you know, you was a lineman. If you was a big kid, you played lineman. I always wanted to play quarterback, running back, wide receiver, but I was a lineman. Even in the schoolyard, all right? But see, my I only played 1 year high school football. So I was kind of discovered on the basketball court, to be quite honest with you. I was my junior year going into my senior year. I was in the gym. I was playing pickup basketball. And I went up for a rebound. And I went up for a rebound, and by mid-court, my high school coach named Bill Gerke ran on the court. He said, son, he said, are you new here? I said, no, coach, I'm not new here. He said, what year are you? I said, I'm a junior. I'll be a senior next year. He said, you've been a junior in this school? You never played no football? I said, no. He said, you're coming out for football. I was terrified. I had played street ball my whole life, but I never played organized football.
Yeah.
So all I did when he told me that I was going to play football, I just started training. I just started training, getting myself ready for spring ball. And I'll never forget it to this day. It was 7 period. That's when they had 7 periods back then. And football practice was on that Friday, all right? So the bell rings, and I walk outside the classroom, or outside the school, and I'm scared to death. I'm sweating. I'm scared because I was nervous. I didn't want to fail at football.
Yeah.
So when I walk out the building of the high school, when I walked down the sidewalk, my school bus to go home was right in front of me. I was on my school bus, all right? And something in my spirit said, get off your bus and go to football practice.
Wow.
And I got off the bus and I went to football practice. And I think about that all the time because I'm writing a book as well. I think about that all the time. I say, what would my life have been if I had gotten on that bus? Because if I got on that bus that day, it would have been easy to do it the next day, day, and I wouldn't have had the amazing life that I had, you know, if I had stayed on that school bus.
Yeah. Wow. What about
Crazy.
you? Your path to football was?
Well, it started in 8th grade. My grandmother didn't want me to play football, and I wound up forging her name so that I could play.
That's why he played defense and was a safety.
And that's why he went to Miami, forging names.
It started early.
And so I actually went out as a running back. That's what my father played, and he had like the record in the 100-yard dash back then and all that. So trying to copycat him, but one of the coaches knew I baseball, and I was a pitcher in Little League and all that stuff. So he was like, he has an arm. So the quarterback they had there weren't as good throwing the ball. And so they had me come over and he was just like, throw the ball. Threw the ball. And the head coach was like, throw it again. Threw it again. He was like, okay, keep playing quarterback. And that's literally how I started playing quarterback. And then my sophomore year, they made me play varsity. I took a beating. And then my junior year and my senior year, we won the state. And so Miami didn't start recruiting me until halfway through my senior year. I was going to Florida. That area that we grew up in, it was Gator territory. And so, but they had built a relationship with me. And so, literally the story was, I went to Florida, met with Galen Hall. I hadn't taken the test yet. And he was like, well, we want to wait until you take the test before we sign you. But I didn't take the test until that Saturday after that signing day on that Wednesday.
And the test you're referring to is, for those who
The ACT.
Okay.
And so I said, well, I'll take the risk of you signing all your scholarships. And he said, that's the risk you have to take.
Wow.
Following week, I was on my visit in Miami and the office with Jimmy. And Johnson was like, hey,
Jimmy Johnson.
we want to sign you before you take the test. I looked at your transcript, and you feel good about it. Plus, you have more than just one time to take it if you don't pass it this time.
Right.
And so my dad was sitting next to me. My uncle was sitting next to him, and he said, if you don't pass that test, I'm going to put my foot in your... Imagine what he said. And my dad looked at me and said, you heard what he said. And that's how we got to...
Wait, Jimmy Johnson said that?
Yes.
Okay, so that was his first introduction to Jimmy Johnson. I guess that's what made him such a player's coach, because he was real.
Yeah, he was real.
Yeah.
To a fault.
That real. Yeah. So you're told by Jimmy Johnson. And at the time, I mean, you don't really, do you know who Jimmy Johnson is at the time?
I mean, that's the coach, yes, but
Right.
I don't, that was my second time meeting him. He came to the school once because I was about to commit to Florida. And he literally came in and he says, just let me recruit you. Just give us a chance. Come on the visit. He said, if you don't come here, it's all good. He said, but just give me a chance to come on the visit. And that literally
Shook everything up.
took everything up. And unbeknownst to me, my grandmother who was raising me, that's where she wanted me to go, but she never said anything.
Right. She didn't want to sway your decision.
Yeah.
We love grandmas for that. Okay, so let's be candid for a moment. Not too open, because there's probably children watching, so keep that in mind. But what happens on a visit at the University of Miami in the 80s, right? Because this is the 80s, you guys are being recruited,
Yeah.
right? So,
On my visit, we can't really talk about that on this show. No, I'm
okay.
just
So,
I give it.
and Mr. Cersei
You
is
can
over
give
here
him the clean
thinking
version.
about, he's over here thinking
No,
about the
I'm
parts
thinking.
that
I'm
he
thinking.
can share.
I'm thinking of a clean version to give you. I got one for you.
Okay,
All
you
right.
got a clean version.
All
Okay,
right.
so at the time you go,
Yeah.
Howard Schnellenberger's the head coach.
No.
Correct? No?
No, I was with Jimmy.
You were with Jimmy.
I was
Okay.
87. Yes.
Okay,
With Jimmy.
87. So you both were with Jimmy,
Mhm.
right? So you're there before Dexter gets
Yeah.
there. So let's talk about your recruiting
My
visit
recruiting
first.
visit?
Yes.
All right.
Who
Well,
who was your? Because what do they call them? Who was your not chaperones? Who was your host? Yes, thank you.
oh,
Who
my
was your
host. Okay. Well, first we were staying at the Fontainebleau Hotel.
Oh, my
Lovely
God.
5-star hotel.
Okay,
all right.
pause. Time out. 1 second.
Okay, all
One
right.
second. Because we have to really tell the people what this is. Because not everybody has been to Miami. A lot of people don't even know what the Fontainebleau is.
It's a
Yeah.
hotel.
So- right?
Yeah. It's very
Okay.
lavish hotel.
Very
On
lavish
the on
hotel.
the beach. 5-star
Okay.
hotel.
We'll
Right.
leave it at that.
I think the going rate is like $500 a night.
Yes,
right
we'll leave
now.
it at that.
Okay.
So, just quick question. Okay. Was the Fontainebleau of the 80s the same Fontainebleau of the current 2000s?
Well,
and
Well, they renovated it. They poured more money into it, but it was still as
It was
spectacular
still-
as it was.
still the Fontainebleau.
It's very
right,
Fontainebleau.
Still the Fontainebleau
Oh,
that
absolutely.
you could find these days. You find Rick Ross in the Fontainebleau.
Oh, yeah,
you did.
absolutely. That's
So
what
who
we
was
said.
in the Fontainebleau back in those days?
Well, I can't. But I wasn't. I didn't know any stars to be starstruck.
Got
You
you.
know,
okay.
but I remember after dinner, you sat down, you had dinner with your family, and then after dinner, you would leave and you would go outside and wait for your host. My host was Melvin Bratton. Melvin Bratton, you got to remember, I came from Orlando. I'd never been to Miami before, so I was a little green.
Okay.
You know, I was a little green now.
They taught you real quick.
Oh, I was a little green, so I get in the car, and I was getting in the car, so they had cassette tapes back then.
Okay.
So Melvin Brown pounds me up, puts it in the cassette tape, and I hear this song. It happened to be an Uncle Luke song.
Okay.
One of his more popular songs,
Here comes
one of his
Uncle
more
Luke's
raunchy
story.
songs.
Yes, okay.
All right, and I was scared and excited at the same time.
Right.
I was like, what did he say? I said, I like this. So
Now, real quick question. Did you know at the time who your host
I had no
was?
idea who Uncle Luke was.
But you didn't know who your host was either.
I heard him. I had seen Melvin Bratton play.
Right,
I was a
okay.
fan of the Hurricanes.
Okay, even though you started playing football later
Yeah,
on.
but I was a fan of the Hurricanes.
Okay,
I
got
was
you.
a fan of the Hurricanes. So I was with Melvin Bratton, and he takes me to this boxing event. So he takes me to this boxing event, and I go in this boxing event, and I see a man, the most scariest man I ever seen in my whole entire life, which was Jerome Brown. All right, I saw Jerome Brown, and it scared me half to death.
Okay.
All right, it was only one other man that scared me like that, which was my dad. So Jerome Brown ranked right up there with my dad as far as scaring me. So I saw the boxing event. Then he took me to this place called Strawberries. Okay, Strawberries was a club in the cut.
Okay.
All right. And it just so happened that Uncle Luke was performing at Strawberries.
The same guy you just heard on the radio.
Same thing.
No kidding.
Now, when I walked in the club, Melvin Bratton had clout. So he walks in, they know who he is, had Miami Hurricane jacket on. We walk through the crowd, everybody, what's up, man, having them drinks and stuff like that. Melvin gives me a drink. I said, nah, I don't drink.
You're how old at the time?
18.
Okay.
So Melvin's he's drinking or whatever, and on stage was
People.
it was women scantily dressed
Okay.
on stage. All right,
Working people that were
people,
working, yes.
working people that
Yes.
you throw ones at.
Okay.
Okay,
Working for
Yeah.
tips.
yeah. So
Okay.
I had so I'm hanging out with them, and then after we leave Strawberries, we go to a couple of other spots, and I get home at 3 in the morning. So
Home where?
I get back to the Fontainebleau at 3 in the
Okay,
morning.
back to the Fontainebleau.
I get back to the Fontainebleau at 3 in the morning.
Okay.
And I go to breakfast with my family at 9, right? And I got this smile on my face. My mom said, "Why are you smiling, baby?" I just kept smiling. Mama said, "Why are you smiling?" She said, "Did you have a good time last night?" I said, "Oh yeah, I had a good time." That was my trip.
And that was it.
But it was a 2-day trip. I'm gonna let Deck tell his 1-day trip.
Okay.
2-day
So
trip.
we can't say what happened day 2.
What? Yeah, no, day 2's fine.
Okay, day
Yeah,
2
it
is
was
fine. Okay. So at that point, have you already made your decision?
Pretty much.
Pretty much. Okay. Was it as easy for you?
Yeah.
Okay. So on your trip, who was your host?
Charles Forms,
Chucky.
supposed to be Lamar Thomas, but he wound up going home or something for that weekend. But it was probably 3 or 4 other guys that were hanging out with us. We went to Strawberry, like Leon said, and my experience there was we went and Mike Tyson was in the VIP room.
Wow.
But they had like this glass room in the middle of the club that you couldn't see in, but they could see out of it. And so I remember standing there, and they was like, "Hey, somebody, I forgot, it was Toba Bang, came over and was like, hey," and got a couple of guys, like a couple of well-known guys, and was like, "Hey, come in for a second." And they went in there, came back out. He came to the door with Mike Tyson. He
Wow.
was in there chilling.
And of course, you know who Mike Tyson is at that point, right? So you know. Okay.
So then we left there, and then we went to, I can't think of the name of it, but it was the club that was in the mall.
Stardom.
Stardom.
I know.
So we went to Stardom after that, and yeah, we got back about 4 that morning.
Wow. Okay. And so the next day, you go to breakfast with your family as well.
Yeah, go to breakfast. I don't really eat. Still sleeping from the night before, but
Yes.
ready to do it all over again. Cause then we go that next day we go to Penrose that afternoon. That was like this gym on the beach,
Okay.
but it's like a hangout spot as well. So we went out there for a minute. I mean, I do remember, but yeah.
For the sake of getting the game, he doesn't remember.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that awesome. So at that point,
Well,
did
I
you-
can explain it on the. We went to the club where those same former women that Leon was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they worked a little more full time.
Okay, a little bit more.
It's a nice watch that you wear. That's what it's called.
Okay, all
The
right.
Rolex.
A Rolex. Okay, got
It's called the Rolex, right?
Got it.
Used to be.
Oh, is it not that anymore?
No.
Oh, okay.
That became KOD.
KOD. Oh, okay. All right.
And for those of you who know KOD, okay, KOD. So at that point, your decision is made as well,
Oh,
yes?
yeah.
Or okay, so you call Florida and say,
Well, I don't say anything. I get back home and Florida calls me because they knew I was going on a visit.
they
And-
knew they had lost it.
And so they called me. They said, "Where did you decide?" And I was like, "I'm going to Miami." And I won't say his name, but my recruiter, he was like, "I don't blame you." And so we got off the phone. He called me back about 5 minutes later. He said, "Hey, we went off with your scholarship now." I was like, "I'm good." And he literally was like, "Okay." But we've been friends, and I've seen him throughout college as well as in the pros throughout my life.
Yeah, ever since, yeah.
Yeah.
So what was your, so you choose to go to Miami. What was your welcome to the campus of the practice of University of Miami? Because at the time you
Well-
were there, Jim Kelly's the quarterback. Yes?
No.
I don't think it was so much a welcome on the
No.
football field that it is a welcome getting there.
Okay.
Everybody, I don't care who you were, you got your head shaved.
Did you get your head shaved?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bald.
Well, I tell you what.
Bald. Because they would gash it till you didn't have no choice. And they would bring in people like Leon first.
Oh, I never
Hey,
did that.
No, he didn't cut our head, but he was the voice coming in like, "Hey, Brooke, sit down. What I'm going to do?"
Okay, nothing. Go sit down.
Exactly.
So this
Yeah.
is the infamous hazing.
Yeah, it
So
was.
to speak,
Well,
yeah.
yeah, it was.
That was
easy.
our
Well,
age,
I tell you
but-
what. To be quite honest with you, Florida State played a lot in my decision of going to Miami.
Okay.
Because I went to Miami first. But my parents told me because of the recruit at Florida State, I still had to go visit Florida State.
Okay.
I really didn't want to go to Florida State, but I went. So I went to Florida State, and they had a dorm party on campus, right?
Okay.
They had a dorm party on campus at Florida State.
This is after you've gone to Miami.
Yeah, I went
So
to Miami first.
strawberries versus dorm party.
I went with
to
Miami
let the
first,
people
then I went
know
to
the
Florida State.
difference.
So
Okay.
Florida State had a dorm party, right? So I'm walking with the guy who's my host. We're walking towards the dorm party. You hear the music, you smell the food, whatever. Reason why it's so vivid to me because I remember this Mercedes-Benz driving up in front of the dorm party, and it was a nice Benz, real nice Benz, and a guy, it was Sammy Smith, the running back at Florida State. He got out the passenger, the driver's side of the Benz. And then there was a young lady that got out of the car, the passenger side, right? And she walked around, and I looked at her, I was like, damn. I said, she is attractive. She's very attractive. Had a lot of junk. And, you know, she was looking nice. The reason why I brought that up, because that was my second wife, who was dating Sammy Smith. And I met her for the first time at the dorm party.
No
Yeah,
kidding.
I promise.
And you still went to University of Miami.
I'm telling you, she was dating Sammy Smith at the time. So
Wow.
I go into the dorm party, music's playing, there's women everywhere. You know, it wasn't no real women on campus in Florida State. So most of the women that came,
Womp womp.
they came from FAMU. FAMU.
Right? Shout out
FAMU.
to the
exactly.
HBCU that provides the
So the
beautiful black women
exactly.
for,
The
okay.
beautiful black women from FAMU used
For-
to come to Florida State for the
Okay,
party.
got it.
So I remember being in the party. It was real nice. I remember seeing Dion. The Jerry Q's dripping everywhere. I saw all the fellas or whatever. But the reason why which made me go to Miami is because the whole time I was there, they talked about how they couldn't beat Miami.
Wow.
And
Florida State talked about.
They were talking about Miami this, Miami that. We can't beat them this and that. And I'm sitting there as a recruit saying to myself,
Dumb of them.
do I want to go here for the next 5 years and get pummeled by Miami, or would I rather go to Miami and beat Florida State? That dorm party changed my life.
Wow.
I don't know what made them do that, but I said, I'm not coming here.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
Yeah, so you decided to go to Miami. So your welcome to Miami on campus, you feel, was the shaving of the head.
I mean, but you knew before that, because even after I committed and signed, we were talking to those guys on the team. So I could pick up the phone,
Wow.
call Charles, call Lamar, call Ryan McNeil, or whomever I had met on my visit and kind of connected with, and actually talk to those guys and ask them what to expect and stuff like that. I mean, you ain't call them a lot, but, you know, you talk to them here and there, and so they made you feel welcome before you even got
there.
Well, my first day on campus at Miami, when I got to the dorms, I remember unpacking all of my stuff with my mom and my dad. And I remember me and my dad walking towards the Heck Center. And I said, Daddy, that's Michael Irvin. I was starstruck.
Yeah.
Michael Irvin was a big thing.
Yeah.
Michael
yeah.
Irvin was in a suit and a briefcase.
Wow.
I said, what the hell is... I swear, he was in a suit and a briefcase. He was in a suit and a briefcase, and he was walking to class. I said, Daddy, that's Michael Irvin. I said, I was starstruck. Michael Irvin was a big thing.
Right.
You know, he was a big thing on that. And I found out later, I don't want to bring down the party, but I found out later, about 2 years ago, before my mom passed away, she told me that outside the dorms when we were leaving, she started crying because, you know, her baby's dropping the baby over her. And she told me that Michael Irvin came up behind her, asked her who her son was, and she says Leon Cersei, this man. She said, don't worry, I'm going to take care of it.
Wow.
That's what Michael Irvin said to my mom.
Did he keep his promise?
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
And one of my first experiences, freshman year, Randall Hill.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like off week or something like that. And everybody was going home, and I didn't have any money to go home, and he bought me an airplane ticket to go to Orlando because my mom lived in Orlando. And so,
Wow. From Miami. Wow, he bought you a flight ticket. Wow. And so that's what makes the brotherhood so special, those moments like that.
Mm-hmm.
So you spoke earlier about just the success of the team. So coaches like Jimmy Johnson, Dennis Erickson, how much obviously does that play a role in creating the success of the team and supporting and nurturing the brotherhood you guys were able to have there?
Well, my experience with Jimmy Johnson was 2 years before he went pro with the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Jimmy Johnson was insane, quite honest with you, because first of all, he was a psychology major. A lot of people don't know that. He was a psychology major. So he knew how to tap into your psyche, all right? Jimmy Johnson used to call it weeding out the weak. He used to make practice and conditioning so tough that people that that couldn't handle it, they would leave. I mean, literally, there would be recruits that would come to Miami. He would make practice and conditioning so tough that the guy, because he didn't want no weakness, he appalled weakness.
Wow.
If you were weak, and mentally or physically, he didn't want you on the team. That's why he made practice so tough. He made conditioning so tough, because he wanted to get all the bad apples out the way.
Wow.
He did. And Jimmy, he held you accountable for everything. He held you accountable for everything. On the field, off the field, in the streets of Miami.
Yeah.
You know, he was just a stickler on just doing things the right way.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't settle for anything other than your best.
Yeah.
And he would call you out.
And that's why he
Oh,
got
yeah.
voted into the Hall of Fame.
Oh, he would call you out.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I tell people this all the time. I learned how to be a champion at Miami because it brought out the best in me. You know, every day for my 5 years in Miami, I was competing every day. I didn't feel safe with my scholarship until probably my senior year.
Yeah.
That's how it was. It wasn't a country club environment. You were competing at the highest level every day. And what was so amazing about it is that the coaches didn't really have to challenge you. You had guys on the team that would challenge you. If you were dropping balls and you were wide receiver in practice, they would call you out. If you were fumbling the ball and you were running back, they would call you out in the locker room. If you were missing tackles, they would call you in the locker room. And they would fight you.
Wow.
offensive lineman. They might not like what he said, but they weren't going to do nothing.
Right.
You know what I mean? But those guys had that respect. Now, they didn't abuse it or nothing like that. So, but if you was messing up, yeah, I mean, you we got called out for?
It was like this. We cared enough about you to be great that we weren't going to let you sell for anything less.
Yeah. So let's go to because you both were on the 1989 national championship team, right?
I was just on the team.
Yeah, you were just, but you were there, and so it matters, right? It counts for something because, as you said, practice was so difficult. I mean, you guys are making each other better on the practice field. That's how you go. That was the season you guys went 12-0.
Yeah, well, we went 11-1.
11-1.
11-1.
Yeah,
So I think it was the next season maybe you went 12-0. So you go 11-1. What made that team so special?
Again, I think like Leon said, just the talent and the competitiveness. A lot of people don't realize practice was harder than games. I'm going against Kevin Williams, Randall Hill, Ford, Horace Copeland. All of these guys run 4.3s or 4.2s. I'm not going to see anything on Saturday that fast, and I'm not going to see that many guys that fast. You may have one guy run a 4.3, but the rest of them don't run that fast. We got 5. So it don't matter where in practice, you always had to be on your P's and Q's because those guys were flat out running. They would make you look bad. And our receivers, they talk trash worse than the defense. Go back and watch some of the clips of Randall Hill. I mean, those guys talk trash, and in practice, man, please, they talking about everything and your home.
Well, I tell you what, I think the 89 season, our motivation came from the fact that the year before we thought we should have won a championship. We lost to Notre Dame 31-30. All right, we lost by the phantom fumble in South Bend, and we knew that could have been back-to-back championships for us because we won 87. We should have won 88. So we go into 89 thinking that we're motivated to win it again, to show that we should have been champions. And then Jimmy Johnson throws this on us. He's going to Dallas. I never seen a man cry my whole entire life. He came in that meeting room. He sat down. He told us he was going to be a Cowboy. And after, well, he didn't necessarily say he wasn't going to the NFL, but he gave us the implication that he was coming back. All right. So when he had that meeting, and he started crying, he said he was going to the Cowboys, and before he left out of the meeting room, he said beat Notre Dame. So we went into the 89 season, which was my first year starting at right tackle, and we had a good season. We had this was when Dennis Erickson came. Dennis Erickson was like Jimmy Johnson was the teacher, and you know how the substitute teacher come in. He was. Jimmy was the teacher. You know how you act when the teacher's in class, right? You sit straight. You don't do anything. And then when the teacher gets sick and the substitute come in, you kind of cloud a little bit. You get a little bit more freedom or whatever. We had a little bit more freedom when Jimmy left, when Dennis Erickson came in. But we had respect for him. So he came in. He had a team that's already assembled to win a championship. We lost the one game in Tallahassee. I mean, we had Gino Torretta. It was a second or third start. He threw 4. We had 6 turnovers in that game. He threw 3 of them, and we lost 24-10. And I remember us running off the field after the game. Florida State was telling us, "Oh, y'all ain't gonna win no championship this year. Y'all ain't gonna win no championship this year." So we had to prove them wrong. We ran the table. We played Notre Dame the last game of the season, the Orange Bowl, and it was electric. It was crazy. I'd never seen anything like that before. And we beat them 27-10. Then we had to play Alabama in the Sugar Bowl, and we were number 2 team. And the number 1 team lost. And then we beat Alabama. We won our, 3rd national championship in what? Well, we won 83, 87, 89. So we had won our 3rd national championship in like 6 years. So we were motivated. We were motivated in 89 because we felt like in 88, we kind of cost us one to Notre Dame. So 89 was a little payback for Notre Dame.
But between the Notre Dame year, when they lost to Penn State that year, and I mean, that's 2 championships right there.
Yeah. If you look at the University of Miami, 83 they won it. 85 they could have won it. 86 they should have won it. 87 we won it. 88, if it wasn't for a terrible call by the ref, we could have won that one in 88 and 89. So you're talking about from 83 to 89, we could have already won 5 to 6 championships.
90 was the only year they won again in 91, lost again in 92.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So when Dennis Erickson comes in,
Substitute teacher.
the substitute teacher.
Nah, I love Coach Erickson. I'm just joking, Coach. And Coach, if you're watching this, you know I love you.
He's watching. We'll get it to him. But I mean, in all actuality, like you said, Jimmy Johnson had built that team. So Dennis Erickson is coming into uncharted territory. So in your opinion, as an underclassman, was it really the upperclassmen that helped kind of run that team and push you guys into a championship? Because as a first-time coach who's taking over for a legendary coach that built a team, does he really I mean, he knows what he's doing because he gets the job, but does he know how to handle the guys that are there?
Go ahead, Dex.
I'll say this from one of the younger guys coming in. Offensively, they had changes over there for what the current or the past staff had. Defensively, he didn't touch that.
Mm-hmm.
We, or not we, but those seniors and star juniors on that team taught those coaches what our defense was.
Wow.
They kept our defense intact.
Wow.
And I think what Coach Erickson brought offensively was more wide open. He utilized our strength. He utilized our speed as our strength. Because we, like Dexter was talking about, we had guys on the team that ran 4-3s, 4-2s. So we ran a lot of 3-wide, 4-wide, single back offense and spread offense. Yeah, we ran a lot of and most of our routes they weren't short routes. They were like skinny post goals. So we were stretching your offense. We were stretching your defense. And then we ran the one-back offenses where everybody was a little concerned about the one-back offense. But, I mean, Coach Erickson brought in an offense that utilized our strengths, which was our speed, to our advantage. And we lit up college football when he came there.
Yeah.
And I mean, I look at Erickson like this. When he came to Miami, it was like someone giving you a Porsche and telling you not to crash it.
Yeah.
He was giving the keys to a Porsche and said, don't crash it.
Yeah.
Don't mess it up.
Yeah.
And I would say, too, he wasn't as strict as Jimmy. Now, I didn't get to play for Jimmy, but just some of the stories I heard and some of the things I know were like during the spring, I would call Charles and Lamar and they had curfew during spring practice. And he was like,
Curfew.
And you had the coaches, Coach Wise, who was my recruiter, offensive line coach, he was one of the ones going to check. And he would call me, be on the phone, like, okay, I got to go do a room check. I was like, dang. But to me, that made it seem even more important that, hey, they doing everything they can
To
make sure that you're in position to be the best you can be.
Yeah.
And it was those type of things that, also.
Yeah. So let's talk about, because this is what's cool for me is we've got an offensive player here, defensive player here. You're still tied. Is the school record still standing for most interceptions? You and Benny Blades.
I think so.
Yeah. So that speaks for itself because we know the kind of player that Benny Blades was. So kudos to you on that. Yeah. No, kudos to you on that because you're tied with him.
Benny way better. He's better than me.
Yeah, but you were obviously just as good because you hold the record with him. So when it comes to the opposite sides of the ball, in those years when you were at Miami and you were at Miami, what made the opposite sides of the ball so good? You as a safety corner, looking at the offensive line, looking at how the offense was structured. You on the offensive line, looking at these guys on defense going up against, some of the best wide receivers, running backs.
Well, I can give you a story, and this was leading up to the 1989 season. This was in spring ball. We had this one. Spring ball was like what, 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks of spring ball. Now just think about that. All the practicing, all the scrimmaging we had. It was the final week of spring ball. I think it was Craig Erickson. He threw a touchdown in the end zone, and all the offense ran in the end zone and celebrated. And the media was asking us, why y'all celebrating a touchdown in a scrimmage in the spring ball? He said, against our defense, that's the first time we scored a touchdown all spring.
Wow.
That's how dominating our defense was. We
Wow.
ran and celebrated. Our defense didn't play.
Yeah.
Listen, it was times in practice. I got to tell you, it was times in practice where Cortez Kennedy, God rest his soul.
Yeah.
Cortez Kennedy was so disruptive in practice that they literally had to pull him out of drills so we could run plays.
Wow.
I mean,
Wow.
our defense didn't play.
Yeah.
That '89 defense, it was Willis McGee's, Greg Mark, Cortez Kennedy, and Russell Merlo.
The D-line.
That D-line was as fine a D-line in the country.
Wow.
The best D-line in the
Gave
country.
y'all trouble.
He
Yeah,
had Jimmy
sure.
Jones.
And you had Jimmy Jones rotate.
Yeah.
And then you had a linebacker core, and you had Bernard Clark, Maurice Crum, and you had Robert Newbeer, Richard Newbeer. I mean, they were solid.
Yeah.
I mean, if you got a yard on them, you earned it.
Yeah. Yeah. So as good as the defense was, obviously you guys kept them from scoring. But what made the offense so special? Because we're talking about an offense that obviously had to put up points to score, in games and get you guys those championships.
Leon gives the defense a lot of credit, but the offense is very talented as well. I mean, you had guys like himself who could pull out. He could pull out and lead the running back and be out there blocking the cornerback.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys were athletic,
Yeah,
they
you gotta be
agile.
willing to do that.
I mean, so even like this center that we had, Handy. Handy played fullback in high school. He was athletic. So they were athletes he was a basketball player.
Right.
There were athletes on that offensive line.
Yeah.
You thought they was big. I mean, just thought they was on the offensive line, they weren't athletic. No. So they had the respect of those guys. Now, the other part to what Leon ain't telling you, he was a youngster when Cortez and Russell was on the defensive line, too.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I remember a story. My redshirt freshman year. So the next class came in. We in practice one day. And, and so Coach Erickson, again, like Leon said, he wasn't quite Jimmy. So sometimes you can get away in practice with not going through the motion, but, going full speed but not killing each other.
Right.
Rookie come in, linebacker, he blitz. Corbin Francis, he blitz. So Leon was like, hey man, slow down. Because I think he said something about cutting Leon or something. Leon was like, hey, slow down.
Yeah.
He was like, we ain't gonna be physical like that. He's like, just, run, but just slow it down. So when it comes to the contact part.
Right.
And so he started joining. 99.
This is a rookie.
He ain't say nothing. He came back to the offensive line. Ford came back again and he hit him in the neck. Bam! We thought he killed him. And I'm not lying. I am not lying. He did not play football the rest of that year.
This was the gentleman to my left who hit someone in the throat and almost.
No, not me.
That wasn't you. Okay.
Killed
This
him.
guy.
But so it was those kinds of things too. So I mean, those guys was tough over there.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get it twisted. Them guys was tough over there.
Yeah.
And it was just like he said, it was so competitive. Everybody had pride. We wasn't gonna let defense didn't want to let the offense beat them. The offense didn't want to let the defense beat them. But at a certain point in the season, the offense always caught up to the defense, and then it was again. You came to practice. You talking about seeing some talking trash and showboat?
Yeah.
Because that's where we practice our stuff for the game.
Right. So then the game is just it is really.
Oh no, I'm talking about the showboat part.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's what we did that in practice, and so that translated to the game. So the stuff you saw guys doing in the games when they were celebrating, they used to do that in practice.
In practice, yeah. So one thing that we, the fans of University of Miami and college football fans everywhere, we saw, didn't really get to see in the 30 for 30 film was kind of the behind the scenes strength and conditioning. And I think one thing that University of Miami is known for is producing speed there and amongst the other talent. What was it like in those years in strength and conditioning? Because we're talking about, equipment has changed, locker rooms have changed, workout rooms have changed. So what you guys had back in the 80s and 90s was probably different than they have now. So what made the strength and conditioning so special to keep you guys in tip-top shape to compete the way that you did?
Well, you want to go next? Because I got a horror story.
I know, personally, the conditioning program was nothing like they are now. A lot of guys came in naturally fast. They just got stronger when they got to college. Because for myself, I didn't ever lift weights in high school.
Okay.
So when I got to college, I was, 140, 145? And by the time, so I got to college in July, about 145. Into September, I was 175.
Wow. Okay. From lifting. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
do I contribute that to the strength coach at that point? Not necessarily, because he wasn't a speed type coach. He was a Russian dude that was all about cleaning shirts.
Coach Rowe. Yeah, Coach Rowe, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, but he got you stronger and things of that nature. But nothing like the coaches I had once I went pro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your horror story.
Well, for me, it's called 16-110. Okay. Let me explain 16-110.
I ran track, so I already know what that is.
Okay.
But go ahead and let our viewers know what that is.
Let me just tell you the mental anguish that the 16-110s invoked upon you.
Explain what that is, though.
16-110s is you take a football field, you start at the back of the field, and you run to the front of the end zone. And then you turn around and you do the same thing 16 times. All of its time based upon position.
Down and back is
just down is one.
Okay.
But you got to make it across the line on time, or it doesn't count.
And the
30
times?
30 seconds rest.
And you get 30 seconds rest in between. But that sounds easy enough.
It's
but
not. Yeah.
guys would literally, under Jimmy Johnson, lose sleep the night before the 16-110. They couldn't sleep because you think that you would just go out there and just run them. No pressure. No. First of all, let me tell you what Jimmy Johnson used to do. First of all, Jimmy used to do this. If you had to run the 16-110s on one particular day and it was like 85 degrees outside, you know what Jimmy would do? He would come in there and say, "Not running the 110s today." Everybody would be excited, celebrating, or whatever. And you know, that's a weight off your back. You ain't got to run the 110s. Then the next day will go, he don't say nothing. Next day will go, next day. So a couple of days, maybe in a week will go by, you thinking Jimmy Johnson going to give you a break. You ain't got to run the 110s. Then you walk out of your dorm room and it's like 97 degrees. Like, damn, it's hot out here. And then you get to then you get in the meeting room and Jimmy Johnson just comes to open the door. Get your cleats, run the 110s. Out of the blue.
Yeah.
And you would think you would just run the 110s, but Jimmy put so much pressure on you running the 110s that it added unnecessary pressure. Like you had to cross the line, your whole body had to cross the line, or it didn't count.
Yeah.
Okay? You had to stand up straight.
Can't fall through.
You can't, it was literally guys asking for permission to tie their shoe. Because if Jimmy thought you were bending over, he would give you another one. Guys used to lean up against each other back to back so they could breathe. Guys who didn't think was going to make it, they would pull you across the line so you could make it.
Wow.
I mean, the 16-110s was brutal. And Jimmy made it brutal.
And this was maybe once a week?
No, this our conditioning test. When you came back to camp, if you didn't pass the 16-110s, there was hell to pay. That means if you didn't pass the 16-110s on the day that we had to run them, you had to run them every day for a week until you did.
But when you was running
at 5:30 in the morning. Yeah.
And if you running them doing conditioning and somebody don't make them, that was an extra.
For everybody?
Everybody.
Mm-hmm.
An extra one or an extra set?
Extra one for everybody though. But you already know, depending on the coach, you're getting screwed. You're gonna run. So if you had 16 to run out there, you're gonna do about 20.
You gonna do? You got in your mind you're gonna do 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna do 20.
And the times that you guys were having to run.
Well, for linemen, we had to make it in 19 seconds. Yeah, 19 seconds.
Wow.
We had to run them in 19 seconds. You had 30 seconds rest.
Yeah.
So by the time you ran it, crossed the line, turned around on the
Time
line.
to go again. Yeah.
We had 15 seconds.
You have 15 seconds. So to kind of give, I'm going to help my viewers understand what that is. So 110 is 110 yards. That is 10 more yards than the current 100-meter race that you see being ran today. So 15 seconds at 110 is equivalent to about 13.5 in a 100. So the safeties and the DBs were blowing smoke, literally. And a lineman at 19 seconds, you're talking about guys that are 6'4", 300 pounds having to run 19 seconds. That's extremely fast. So just to kind of give them an idea, you guys were doing track workouts.
Basically, yeah.
Basically.
On grass.
Yeah, and that's, yeah, wow, incredible.
No, I was just going to say real quick, they'll give this quick story. There was a guy on our team named Jimmy Jones. He was a defensive tackle, right? He was running the 16-110s. He fell out. Okay, he fell out on the ground. He hyperventilated, right? He had his eyes closed. He was rolling back and forth on the grass talking about, I'm blind, I can't see. The 110's blinded me. And they would say, Jimmy, open your eyes, you're not blind. He was open your eyes, he said, I'm blind. So Jimmy Johnson walks over to Jimmy Jones while they're throwing water on him, telling him to open his eyes. And Jimmy Johnson says, what's wrong with him? Coach, he said he's blind, he can't see. And Coach Jimmy Johnson said, well, roll his blind ass off my field.
I just knew you were going to say, well, you don't need to see to run 110s, but he said just roll them off the field.
Roll his blind ass off
Wow,
the field.
okay.
But now, that same dude, my freshman year, his senior year, no, not Leon's junior year, but Jimmy's senior year, he just stops after about 4 or 5 and walks off the field. And remember, that's how Cortez got the starting position over Jimmy.
I
And
remember.
Jimmy never saw that starting position again.
And that was his senior year.
Yes. Now, he still got drafted second round,
Right.
but Cortez went number 4 overall.
Wow. Wow.
Right.
Yep.
So what makes the guy want to give up his senior year? The pressure of it over the course of 4
The
years,
pressure,
you just get ready to explode.
Jimmy just had a meltdown. He had a meltdown. That's
Yeah.
just all those years of just that
Yeah.
constant pressure. You know, it was unfortunate that Jimmy did what he did. But Jimmy went on and had an outstanding NFL career. Won, 3 Super Bowl rings with the Cowboys. So it worked out for him pretty well.
Yeah. So as we get ready to wrap up the show, one thing that everybody knows about the University of Miami, because it's probably one of the most watched 30 for 30s there is, you guys were there during that time. Did that depict what it was really like to play football in the city of Miami in those times? Did it get it good enough?
It was the Cliff Notes.
Yeah.
It really was. It was the Cliff Notes. It was the PG-13 version of the Miami when I was there. I mean, a lot of the stuff that I would rather not get into, but a lot of the stuff, it was a lot of stuff that went on. But the most important thing about the documentary was that the most feared and hated team in the '80s, that's what we were, and we thrived on it.
Yeah.
We loved
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And but see, and you have stuff where they talk about Miami guys were thugs and Catholics versus convicts. But see, and one thing they don't recognize is that those guys that played in that era, 95% of them graduated
Yeah.
from college.
Yeah. 95%.
95. We had one of the highest graduation rates in the country, but they never mentioned that.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you feel it depicted it as well?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like Leon said, more PG-13, but it was a good overview of kind of what took place. A lot of stuff you couldn't talk about, didn't want to talk about. Just that keeping everything in house.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
but one of the main things, like people always used to say, that whole thug thing as well as how y'all get paid by the no. Now, I will say you may be eating dinner, ask the waitress or waiter for the check, and they be like, "We paid for it," but you don't know who
You
paid
pay
for it.
for it.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, but just you getting regular money, like nah, that
Wouldn't
that
happen.
kind of stuff.
Well, I remember, hey, Dexter, you remember when we used to get weekend money? So we used to get weekend money. And
My
we get,
cafeteria would close on the weekend.
yeah, we used to get weekend money, so we used to get $80 for the weekend, whatever. Now we would go to that certain establishments we talked about and spend almost half of it. All right. Then we would eat, and then by Saturday night we broke. All right?
Yeah.
We broke.
Yeah.
Sunday we wake up in the morning. I'm telling you, ramen noodles saved my life. Ramen, because you would literally wake up in the morning hungry, trying to fester who got what, whatever. You go in your door, you knocking on the door. Hey man, you got some crackers or something? Because you know that the training table didn't open till 6, so you had to somehow figure out how you were gonna eat from Saturday night and survive till 6. And what
6
we
p.m. on
6 p.m.
Sunday.
on Sunday.
Wow.
So that's why we would collectively know we spent up all our money, but we say, hey man, what you got? Man, I got 4 quarters. I got $2, and we'll make it happen. And that's what we bonded that way too.
Yeah.
We bonded because we, if I had, you had.
Right.
You
right.
know, if I had, you had, and we would always be giving to one another.
Yeah.
But I tell people all the time, listen, the best days of my life was at Miami. I played 11 years in the league, and I've had friendships that people I know when I played the college football. But my boys
Yeah.
are at Miami.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are some of can you give a story of adversity? Because I mean, obviously we're in March. Guys are getting ready for the combine. They're getting ready for their pro days. They're getting ready to make that transition, a transition that you've both experienced going from college to the NFL. A story of adversity that you feel could help someone kind of push past what, could be deterring them from moving forward.
Story of adversity. I don't know. I mean, my pro day and my draft went pretty smooth. The best advice I would give a player that's making the transition from college to pro is just, one, keep your circle small. All right, keep your circle small. Learn how to say no, especially to family. Because you're going to have a lot of cousins and a lot of second, third, fourth, fifth cousins that's going to come around. Keep circle small, learn to say no. Save money like the next game is going to be your last.
That's good.
Save money like the next game is going to be your last. And it's just football.
Yeah.
Don't
And it's
make,
gonna
don't
be
make
over
it
at some
difficult.
point, right?
Don't make it difficult.
Yeah.
Enjoy that ride. I tell them to buckle up and enjoy that ride.
Yeah.
Enjoy that moment because it's going to be it's going to be one of the best. Playing in the NFL is going to be some of the best days of your life. Enjoy it, savor it, because it goes by fast. It goes by real fast.
I don't have a particular story of adversity, but I would say you would probably find more adversity off the field than you will on the field during that transition. But I would tell guys to be protective of yourselves. Like Leon said, keep your circle small. At the end of the day, it is just football. It's a business, treat it as such. Get in that mindset, put the right people around you, and that's about it. But just be more careful of off the field. Because that's where you're more likely to
Trip up.
and have that adversity than the transition from college to pro.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you guys so
Thank
much
you.
for joining us this
Thank you.
evening. This has been a very exciting, riveting hour. I'm sure there's people that are going to go and Google strawberries. I'm sure because we talked about it so much. We talked about it so much, but thank you guys for coming on. I would love to one day get more of your teammates here on the show to maybe join us on the set and kind of talk about some of the other behind the scenes and maybe have you guys back to talk about the transition after, because obviously you both left Miami and went on to have careers outside of it. And so to kind of pick your brain on how that transition was for you, would love to do that. Is there any way people can follow you on social media?
I'm not on any social media.
Nope. Mr. Cersei, you have a radio show here in Jacksonville.
Yeah, Monday through Friday, 1010XL 92.5 FM. From noon to 3 is XL Primetime Lunch with Leon. I do that Monday through Friday. And let me see. My Facebook page is Leon Cersei Jr. I got a Jaguar shirt on with the logo. I got my Twitter handle is Cersei_Leon. And then my Instagram is L Cersei Jr. I know all this, but I just set this up. Somebody else did it for me.
It's okay. The most important thing is to listen to Lunch with Leon from 2 to 3.
XL Prime
12
Time.
to 3, Monday through Friday
Yep.
on 1010XL. And you guys know where you can catch Get in the Game with Satara J. Follow us on YouTube at Get in the Game with Satara J. Thank you to my producers, Mr. Stefan Petty, the best momager on the planet, Melinda Henry, my stylist, Barbara J. And thank you to you guys for joining us every Tuesday at 6:30 for being so faithful to the show. And if you want sponsorship information, reach out to us via our email at getinthegameshow@gmail.com and catch us here next week as we continue our series, Life After Football. See you guys then.
All right.
Thank you guys.
Awesome.